It's the True Penny Show with your host, James True Penny.
Hello and welcome to the True Penny Show. You can hear the descending disappointment in my voice. We did advertise a show yesterday. This is the reason why I don't do trails very often, unless I know exactly what's going to happen. That we would have Mr. Walker Stewart as our guest today to discuss the G1 Climax tournament. Unfortunately, Walker is not very well and is not recording any podcasts today. So if you are listening to other podcasts around our little podcasting community, you probably won't hear Walker either. So we have to apologise on his behalf. However, Christy has come to join me to have a short discussion about something that was posted earlier this week. How are you doing, Christy?
I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of frustrated, not with the Walker, but with the situation, because as we all know, I have anxiety, so I've been working up to the sink for the entire day, and now it's not happening, so...
I know,
yeah.
Yes. Now, we will have a full True Penny show for you as a separate episode because it's nothing to do with the zeitgeist of what's going on. And I will let Christy pick that episode. She has the choice to pick the episode, so we'll put some excitement into this show. Okay, then. But, in the meantime, I did promise discussion of New Japan Professional Wrestling. And I would like to discuss the statement of Mr. Yota Tsuji earlier this week, when he said, "Me, Henare, and Gabe Kidd are the three people with the most pride in New Japan Pro Wrestling." Christy, discuss.
It's funny, because that's definitely one of the bits that I want to discuss with Walker, is his statement. Because, like, fuck Henare, but I can see why he says that, because Henare is physically all in.
Yes.
Even if his words contradict that, because he was ready to go to WWE apparently. But physically, he's ready to throw his body at the wall for New Japan.
Yes, he would do, absolutely.
At least his character is 100%.
Yes.
New Japan.
True.
So I can see that. Gabe Kidd is physically, but especially emotionally and verbally, all about New Japan's pride.
Yes.
Which is funny, because War Dogs is very much defend New Japan kind of faction, while also raging against New Japan kind of faction, which I think is one of the most interesting things about them, is that they claim to want to destroy people, while in actuality they want to defend New Japan and its people.
They've always had that element, in the sense of historically, like the first lineup of Bullet Club was they were all dojo guys, so we learnt the system to break it from within and make it fairer for the gauging. So that was the whole point. And though that pendulum has swung between taking money from New Japan Pro Wrestling and its fans and back to loyalty to New Japan all the way through, and it's one of the reasons why the Kenny Omega era of Bullet Club was perhaps the least Bullet Club. And this is much more of a Bullet Club, if you see what I'm saying. I think that's kind of the heart and soul of Bullet Club, even House of Torture, which is a Bullet Club faction. It's still there, if you see what I mean. And I think they're just kind of like espousing it more than they used to.
Yeah, House of Torture is interesting because they talk a lot about wanting to destroy New Japan. But at the same time, Evil is talking about, I need to be president to fix everything.
Yeah, this is the thing. He's like, well, surely if you wanted to destroy New Japan, you'd go wrestle for Noah. It's the obvious thing to do. It's like, why don't you wrestle for this plethora of other promotions whose job it is to take money away from New Japan Professional Wrestling?
Right.
Yeah. But you don't. You want to
no,
destroy it from
and
within.
that's the interesting thing about the heels in New Japan. Like, those are the two big heel factions. And both of them secretly are for New Japan.
Yes, but they are also secretly, well, not very secretly, very insecure.
Yes, they are. So the most evil people in New Japan are New Japan defenders.
Yes, of course they
What does that say about the faces, though?
Well, here's the thing. That's the issue, isn't it? They're a bit soft, aren't they? That's the trouble.
Well, I had a look at like the G1 entrance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how many of them could you call heels? Kid, Evil, Finley, Narita.
Yes.
United Empire is a gray area, and then you have like the LIJ guys.
Yeah, who are baby faces.
And the full faces.
Yeah, the Chaos and Just Five Guys and Hontai.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I wouldn't call Callum a heel. So it's like Henare is heelish. Cobb can be heelish. But Callum isn't heelish.
And I think that this is the differences between like heelish and just unlikable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not I don't think Cobb is an unlikable person. His character is unlikable. I think Henry is an unlikable person, and his character is unlikable. If you see what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying it's interesting to me that people have such an issue with House of Torture when they're pretty much them and Bullet Club are the only heels in New Japan, and it's not really that many. If you look at this, G1 has 18 best New Japan guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And out of those, only 4 are heels.
You got to say Takeshi, but you also have to say Jake Lee and Takeshita are heels as well.
Yeah, but they're not New Japan guys, so I'm not. Well, Lee is now, so I guess that would be 4 full heels.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
Out of 19, because I don't count Takeshita.
No, but he is he's a heel in North America. He isn't necessarily a heel in Japan. He's just kind of flat.
He doesn't wrestle for New Japan, so I'm talking like about New Japan as a whole.
Yes, I understand. I was just making sure people understood the situation for the tournament.
So the top 19 heavyweights, only 5 of them are bad guys.
Yes.
That's not a lot.
No, and we don't seem to be getting rid of the bad guys. They're not banished. They're not kowtowed.
Well, we can't, because we wouldn't have any bad guys left.
No, but this is true. However, Noah barely has any bad guys at all. So, it depends on it. Yeah, it depends on how you set your stories up, though, doesn't it? But I quite understand what you're saying. You could live without the bad guys for a while, but it'd be not very interesting for you. It won't be very interesting for you because you live on story and the way those stories work and character building. So that's the thing, isn't it? It's like there's a lopsidedness to New Japan at the moment because there's just too many baby faces. It's like British wrestling in the 70s. So yeah, but that's what it becomes. It's like British wrestling in the 70s was a purely match-to-match proposition. You had characters and you sometimes had some short stories, but it's not like you had rivalries between, say, like Johnny Saint and Jim Briggs, which lasted 10, 15 years. But it wasn't like, Naito and Okada or Naito and Tanahashi. It was more like just a rivalry. The way the same was like Sanada and Okada had a rivalry. It wasn't really like bitter and twisted and ready to run you over the car, Jerry Lawler style. It was just, we're wrestling each other again, are we? Excellent. It was that kind of wrestling, which I don't think appeals to a Western audience the way that the current New Japan lineup is. And also is like, that's the reason why House of Torture could get away with being so House of Torture-y, because they were kind of outnumbered. It's just that the baby faces never got their act together for about 2 years.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just I'm just saying, I had a look at the G1 today, at all the guys, and I was like, there's not that many pure heels in New Japan.
No.
And
No.
those that are pure heels are heels because they want better for New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's not a single heel in that company that actually wants to destroy New Japan. And I don't mean in real life, but in kayfabe.
Yeah. No, I
They
agree
all
with
want
you.
to make it better.
Yeah. For sure.
Um,
It's just better
yeah.
from their perspective.
Yeah.
It's
But
politics, isn't it? It's like
it's still good intentions, even if it's bad execution.
by rotten people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
By the way, about the Suji comment,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was so interesting that he said Henare and Kid, because I've talked about this several times. That interview, right, with him and Yuya,
where he dismissed the Gaijin.
where he didn't mention a single foreign guy when he talked about his future, and then here he's like, well, there's only two guys who are as proud of New Japan as I am. These two foreign guys.
Yeah, but he has in the meantime he has seen Henry try and murder Rampage Dragon, Annie. Shingo had a very unhappy time with Gabe. It was not a fun vacation. Sorry, not with well, he didn't have a happy time with Gabe either. But he did not have a happy time with Henry, and he's literally tried to just seen Kiyomiya nearly get hurtled off a balcony by Gabe Kidd in the name of New Japan and Strong Style over King's Road. So I assume he's kind of referencing those two incidents.
I guess it feels like a huge leap for me. To go from I don't even acknowledge you, I acknowledge the Young Lions above you.
Mm.
The Young Lions who at that point hadn't even been introduced to the audience. Like unnamed Young Lions who don't even deserve to be on TV. To go to, they're the only two guys who I trust with New Japan.
Yeah.
So
I think I don't think it's far off of a reach with Gabe. With Henry,
I don't think it's a reach.
Would sign, apparently would sign off the WWE in a moment's notice if he could. But yes,
I don't think it's a reach, but I think it's maybe intentional.
Yeah.
And it's also because he was so very keen on the whole Shota and Yuya and Ren. They're going to join me and fight for New Japan. So all of a sudden exclude them from the conversation entirely.
Are you suggesting he's had an idea for a new faction that may include them too?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I just there might be storyline reasons for it, or he for the first time in his life watched a Gabe Kidd interview or something like that. It's just I thought that it was an interesting contrast between what he said a couple of months ago and what he's saying now. Might also be linked to New Japan's differing views.
Yeah.
In that they realize that they need to build on the foreigners that they have and not bring in some randoms.
Yeah.
And someone was like, hey, Suji, they exist too.
Yeah, I think possibly. Because I've been seeing Gabe Kidd in AEW a couple of weeks ago. He walked in there like he owned the place. And wrestled like he owned the place. Because he could, if he wanted to. So you want to keep guys like that in Japan for as long as you possibly can.
Might also be that when he did that interview, they hadn't re-signed yet. And they have now.
True, yeah. Might be a possibility. There's numerous things that could happen there.
There could be many reasons, but yeah, I thought that was that stood out to me.
Yeah, and this is the thing, it's like you got to keep talent on side. Now, last week myself and Marcus looked at Forbidden Door, and I said very much sent a message personally from me to the chairman of CMLL, Stein Stephanie Vacour, for as long as it's humanly possible, backload truckloads of money up to her house because she's the best wrestler in North America right now. And by Thursday, she signed for WWE and made her debut in Mexico City last night against Isla Dawn on a main roster show. So, you know, that's what happens. You need to secure people. That's the thing. There was other stuff going on with Stephanie Vacour. Partly that she was a massive fan of WWE and always wanted to wrestle for them. So good for her. I hope she earns lots of money. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Is like they're better off keeping their homegrown talents, because if you look at the strength of New Japan and All Japan and Japanese promotions in general, it's when they've got guys early in their career and have built a legacy around them when it comes to gauging that they've really sung as a company. You look at Steve Williams and Terry Gordy and Stan Hansen in All Japan, or Scott Norton and Big Van Vader in New Japan. Those guys were with the company for 7 or 8 years before they moved on. You know, obviously not in Bruce's case, sadly, but you know they built a legacy in that company, which meant an awful lot to the Japanese fans, and they earned a ton load of money doing it as well. Now, the financial situation isn't the same for New Japan Pro Wrestling as it was for those companies back then, because there isn't the strength in the Japanese economy, and you're fighting a bunch of stuff when you've got Americans and Europeans and Australasians working for you. It's probably easy for the Australasians to make money out of it, I guess, because they're not having so much travel, are they, and things like that. But if you can keep them for as long as you possibly can and give them reason to stay is the other issue, isn't it? Yeah, so
that's the thing. Like, you want to give them reasons to stay, so give them shit like titles and stuff, but you don't want to make them too big and too interesting for
it's
competition.
Yeah, it's like county cricket in the United Kingdom. Anyone who's any good gets to pick for the England team, and they're never seen again. So county cricket teams in the UK try and develop players that are reasonably good, but not world class. Because if they develop world class players, they just get snapped up by the England team, and they get to see them for like 3 weeks of the year. Because England's schedule is now an all year round thing. They just don't see them. So it should be a bit bizarre, really. But there you go. You was going to say something?
No.
I realise that you a cricket reference for you, though the Netherlands has a very good cricket team.
I've never watched a full match of cricket. Is it a match? Is it a game? What do you call it?
It's a match, yes.
A match, okay.
And to be fair, who needs to sit around for 5 days?
I've not even watched like an hour of cricket. I've seen maybe like 30 seconds of clips or stuff.
I should do more references that you understand more often. I try. I mean,
this one was fairly easy to get. Like,
yes.
It works the same in like football.
Yes, it does. Yeah, you want players who aren't that good. If you're a second division football team, you need players who
you want players that reach the level that you can afford to keep and stay there.
Or be exceptional so you can sell them and use the money for something else.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is like, you don't have transfer fees in wrestling. Like,
no.
You don't get, like, say, let's use Stephanie Vacour as an example. Triple H doesn't have to pay CMLL a portion of her fees for recompense because she's gone to a different company. That is one of the things that actually, you know, is one of the reasons why wrestling doesn't work in the sense of other forms of entertainment or other forms of sport. Like, if you look at, say, baseball, for example, the leagues merged in the 1900s and everyone's made money ever since. The NFL, American Football League, and the NFL merged in 1967 and a complete merger in 1970, and they've made trillions of dollars ever since. And the NWA, it worked for a while, and then someone got too big for the boots, broke off, the WWF makes tons of money, NWA made loads of money. So, you know, it's not like it used to be back in the day. If you like was in the NWA office and you wanted somebody from Pacific Northwest in Dallas, you would pay the Pacific Northwest promoters a certain amount as compensation for losing their star, and he would come down, you'd pay him as well. you'd all make money and everything moved around. But we don't get that in wrestling anymore, which isn't, necessarily conducive to good business practices, because you've got 4 full-time, 5, 6, I'm trying, CMLL, AAA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Noah, I'll say Cyber Fighting title, WWE, Impact Wrestling, AEW, maybe 7 full-time companies that can pay a decent wage, and they all just kind of poach staff off of one another when it comes to contract time constantly, which is good for the wrestlers because they earn more money, but isn't necessarily great for business. It's not conducive to long-term expansion, is it?
No, not really. Though there are disadvantages to that as well. So.
Yeah, true. It's an interesting thing. All the things. This is the thing. Is like all the things that every other sport and entertainment has, like unions and workers' rights. Wrestling doesn't. It's still the Wild West. It's capitalism untempered by, and that's the thing, because most wrestling fans don't see it as a sport anymore, obviously, because it's not. They see it as an art form. But you wouldn't expect Warner Brothers not to talk to the Actors Guild, would you?
No.
That wouldn't make any sense. But, that's one of the reasons why a lot of WWE people go do movies, not necessarily because they want to be movie stars, but if they do one movie a year, they get to be members of the Screen Actors Guild, and therefore they get decent health insurance.
Wrestling is weird.
It is. It is just like...
It's so weird.
It is. It's because it's this is the thing. It's like there's so many practices, like paying your dues. No, people deserve to be paid for the things that they've done. If they're working security for you on a card, they should be paid the same rate as security guards are paid. They're not your slaves. I realize, yes, they'll get an opportunity.
So many like you have to respect your seniors and do what he says, stuff like that. If you don't shake someone's hand, you're rude and you get in trouble. Or
Young Bucks are a classic example of that. Yeah,
especially back in the day, it's still shitty. But when I hear stories about what used to happen, I'm like, you could have looked at someone the wrong way and you would spend the rest of the month getting beat up in the ring or forced to get dressed outside the locker room or walk to the next show. It's so weird.
It's just childish as well. Just rampant bullying and childishness. I mean, it worked the other way. I mean, one of the coolest stories I ever heard was Lou Thez and Abdullah the Butcher were wrestling in Toronto, and Lou Thez was the babyface, so he obviously couldn't be seen with Abdullah because Abdullah's the madman, right? So Lou climbed out of his dressing room window and walked all the way around the building on the ledge of the building, second story.
Crazy.
Tapped on Abdullah's window and said, "Anything you want to do, champ, is all right with me." Just to let him know everything was okay. Because all of the local guys said, "Oh, Thez is going to come, he's going to kill you, he's going to beat you up because you're a gimmick guy and he hates gimmick guys. You can't use the forks and stuff like that with him. Oh, no, you can't do all that." And Lou was like, "We're going to make money. Doesn't matter. We'll make money. See you later." And that was that. Which is kind of cool that those kind of things used to happen.
It's kind of cool, but it's also very wrestling to risk your life for kayfabe.
Yeah.
It
That's
is also very wrestling.
No, it's just because he's Lou Thez and he did what he wanted to do, I suppose, really. But it is just there's cool stuff like that, but for every cool story like that, how many horror stories do we hear about the professional wrestling industry?
Yeah, the biggest bullies became the biggest stars often. When I hear about Undertaker in WWE, people are like, "Oh, he's so cool," and it's he's such a bully.
Yeah, of course he is.
He's only achieved as much because he's a big bully.
Yeah, his legacy is tainted by the fact, yes, he was an absolutely incredible performer, great wrestler, but his legacy is tainted by the fact that he made people's lives a living hell. Don Callis, for one of them, he went out of his way. He hated Don Callis so much that one of the ways the Hardy Boys got ingratiated into the WWE locker room was him, the Undertaker, and John Bradshaw said it would be an awful shame if somebody super glued matchsticks into his car lock, wouldn't it? and left some
Fucking
matches in
JBL.
Superbook. Yeah, it's just like, why are you doing this? If you've got a problem with the guy, just go talk to him. But
because a lot of those guys are just insecure.
Yeah, of course they are. And it goes around and comes around because obviously JBL was picking on Joey Styles, who is a person whose politics don't agree with mine, but he absolutely did the right thing here. He picked on Joey Styles every day of the European tour for 3 weeks until one day Joey turned around, just punched him in the mouth and laid him out in a hotel lobby.
Yeah, the small announcer dude. I bet JBL hated that.
Yes. No, they've made up since, because before Joey left the WWE, he interviewed JBL several times and they got on fine. But, you know, he had it coming. Hate to say it, but he did. But there you go.
Yeah, but both of them are still like respected in wrestling and in WWE, and I'm like,
why?
So
yeah. Like The Undertaker, yeah, I can understand. JBL is alright. He was never anything more than...
but he's still seen as... But The Undertaker, I don't get either, because I feel like the bullying is way worse than how good he is at a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, like, I understand what you're saying, but I can see that Undertaker will be seen as a legendary wrestler and a superstar main eventer. I can see that. I think the bullying's terrible too. But I don't see why JBL is considered to be like, other than the fact he was a company loyalist for so long, that, you know, that's the only reason why he's respected within the industry. And he's one of those guys.
I don't know. It's just like, there's been, the last 2 days, there's been like discussions about a lot of those similar things again. Someone made a very gross joke about pedophiles in wrestling. I don't know if you saw the tweet.
No, I didn't know.
It was a joke, let's be clear about that. But it was a joke going, Rossi is my favorite pedophile because he's very good he booked a really good show or something like that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of replies saying similar things like, he may be a pedophile, but I'm fine with him because he books really well and stuff like that, which is basically the same as people going, oh, the Predator wrestler, it's okay if he comes back to wrestling because I like him as a wrestler.
Yeah.
And that's how I see Undertaker. Like, a lot of people go, oh, yeah, he's a bully. Oh, he was a great wrestler, though. I'm like, for me, the sentence stops at, yeah, he was a bully.
He was a bully. It's just like,
I don't care about how great of a wrestler you were, because a lot of those guys you bullied out of wrestling might have been just as great as him, but been better people.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it's no one remembers John Wilkes Booth as a great actor. They remember him as the guy that shot Lincoln.
Yeah, but people remember Undertaker as the great wrestler and not so much the bully.
An analogy I probably shouldn't be using today, but what can you do?
That's another story for another day.
That's another story for another day. But yes, condolences to the person who did pass away from last night's incident. And we hope President Trump is well soon.
No, we don't.
Or not, as the case may be. He seems to be okay. From glass.
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
Oh.
Yes, he's not dead. Yeah. Anyway.
He's fine.
Where was he? He's fine. He's okay. The guy who died, though, we're very sorry about his loss. That didn't need to happen. But, you know, gun control would be a wonderful thing.
No, we need more guns, James. More guns to solve stuff like this. All the guns.
But yes, that's another question. It's like, we're teachers. Like, would you know what to do with a handgun if some new assigned you a handgun in a classroom?
No. I mean,
like,
the
last people on earth we need to be trusting with handguns are teachers.
Yeah,
we're
also,
teachers.
I haven't seen the clip, right? But I've been told what happened. Like, if Secret Service members couldn't stop the guy with a gun, you think teachers will?
Exactly. This is it. The best trained lifeguards in the entire history of the human race who live and quite literally die by this stuff, and they couldn't stop him from getting shot at. Yeah. So what's the teacher going to do, or anything else going to do? What are you going to do next? Arm lampposts? It's not going to do anything, is it? It's just, less guns will help, just generally speaking. And funnily enough, under the last Obama presidency, when there was gun restrictions in place, there were less shootings.
I try to tell some Americans that. I mean, you can ask them the question, why is there much less gun violence in the rest of the world compared to the United States?
Yeah.
And they go, well, because there's fewer people. It's like, no, that's not how percentages work, but okay.
No, yeah. No, I had that argument with a woman. It was in some Trump thing where she complained about the number of stabbings in London compared to the number of stabbings in Baltimore, and I was like, yes, because London's massive. Like, literally 10 million people live there. Now when you live in Baltimore, 3 million. She was like, oh, I'm very sorry, I didn't realize that. Like, yeah, it's a percentage. That's how it works. It's very likely there's going to be more stabbings in London because there's 3 times the people in there. But yeah, it's a thing. But I hope calmer heads prevail this week. Let's be honest with that. That's something I look forward to. I very much doubt so. As you know,
I don't think this helped.
No, it did not. This is the thing. It's just like, this is the bit that beats me. Absolutely beats me. Is this has happened before? The exact same thing happened in 1968 when the governor of Alabama, George Wallace, who was a horrible human being, was running for the American Party as a third-party candidate. He was a Democrat, but he ran for the American Party in presidential elections to be a spoiler. And he ran on a massively divisive segregationist ticket and talked about inner-city violence, which of course meant black people because the country had been ghettoized where black people lived in the inner city, and was shot and paralyzed in the 1968 campaign by someone who was either going to shoot Richard Nixon or shoot George Wallace, and he happened to shoot George Wallace because, you know, he ramped up talk about political violence. And he wasn't even as bad as Trump was with what he said at the time.
And Trump got shot by a Republican.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, a white Republican.
Oh, yes. This is the thing. This is the other issue. And I'm pretty sure the only thing that saved the statistics yesterday was the fact that schools were closed. So there probably wasn't any school shootings on a Saturday. Other things that boil my piss. But here we are. We had a really long conversation
we went
about
from wrestling to. There is a link between the two, but
yeah,
you know,
it is. I should put a warner at like halfway through this. If you'd like to listen to us, witter on about politics for half an hour, you can listen at this point. Pardon me. But yes. Anywho. Anything else you want to discuss? We're having a chat. It's just nice to have a chat, isn't it?
I do have one thing that I mentioned on Twitter like half an hour ago, that Block A is perfect for Naito. I just realized.
Is it? Yeah, I saw that because it's just technical wrestlers.
It's they put all the brutal wrestlers in B.
The lunkheads, if you will.
Hinare is in there, Kolb is in there, Finlay's in there, Takeshita's in there, Oleg's in there, Goto's in there. He can also be heavy. Tsuji's in there. Like, you have ELP and Yuya and Narita are the ones that like won't kill Naito accidentally.
I would say Takeshita's pretty smooth. I don't really consider him.
Yeah, but he's heavy, right?
He's heavy, strong. Yeah. Gonna land on him, but yeah, I suppose so.
And then in Block A, the only ones, well, Jake Lee, I am not too familiar with, so I won't comment on him.
But like, in the matches I've seen him, he's not been a particularly heavy hitter, but he is kind of a King's Road guy. Kind of does rely on that attrition kind of storytelling, so that could be hard work for him.
Yeah, I'll get back to that. The only one that's in there is Gabe Kidd.
Yeah.
He's going to be, but I feel like Gabe Kidd is, yes, he's heavy-handed and rough, but he's not going to do to Naito what he's done to Kiyomiya.
No.
and I also feel like Gabe is very much the emotional, character-driven, brutal one. Not so much that he looks to actually physically hurt everyone he wrestles.
Yeah. His first trainer, Marty Jones, was considered one of the most violent wrestlers of the 1970s and 1980s, but equally, it is very noticeable that he is one still alive and still walking of his peers. So, you know, because he was a masterful technician and he could tell a story without being ultra-violent, he was more than capable of being violent, if you want to. If he wanted to do the job the hard way, he could do it the hard way. But he would do it super smooth if he needed to. And so, yeah, you can quite understand why Gabe would be the perfect component for Naito, because he could just kind of like do it with words, did not do it with deeds. And that's a brilliant place for Naito to be as well.
I also feel like Kid might just bully Naito the entire match. And as dangerous as that looks like, it's not actually as dangerous as doing all the big moves, you know?
Yes.
Just pretending to get destroyed is better than actually getting destroyed.
And it's also like the threat of being hit with the chair is actually much, much worse than hitting somebody with a chair.
Right. And Gabe is the perfect opposite to Naito, because Gabe is an emotional bully. So that's perfect for Naito to mess around with.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if part of the match is just Naito fucking with Gabe.
It's gonna be hilarious.
Right.
I swear, like there's going to be jokes about knees and necks from Gabe and swearing.
Yeah. So block A is Gabe Kid, and then the other one is Shingo. But I feel like Shingo is much more a narrative story, because it's LIJ versus LIJ, Naito versus Shingo. I don't think they're going to do the very heavy thing that Shingo would do with a Gabe Kid or a Henare.
No. I think this is the thing, is like if you watch him with Bryan Danielson, who similarly has a neck that is approaching the end of its time, shall we say. Shingo was not anywhere. It looked brutal, but it wasn't anywhere near as brutal as some of the things I've seen us do in RA and Gabe Kid.
Right.
Like Danielson's not delicate, let's be honest. He will charge like a bullet at a china shop at anything. But he also has an incredible ability to sell that makes everything look absolutely devastating. And the match he had with Shingo was fantastic, not because he destroyed him. It just looked like he destroyed Bryan, and Bryan got the comeback, and Shingo went along his merry way after a good loss, and you know it was a killer match. But he didn't like knock Danielson's block off, which he quite easily could have done. So yeah.
Yeah. So block A is basically a lot of people that have history with Naito. So Shingo, Sonata, Evil, they're all in the same block, the LIJ connection. So those matches are more about the story than about the match itself.
Yeah.
And then you've got Zack and like Okan, who are more technically proficient and don't need to destroy Naito with actually dangerous moves.
Yeah.
Then you've got Callum. Callum is just gonna be like the young guy who tries to beat everyone. He's not gonna hurt Naito. And Shota. And Shota is only like physically brutal when he's met with that kind of stuff, like against Mox. He's not a brutal wrestler.
Yeah.
And that's all of them.
Yeah. So it should be interesting set of situations for Naito.
It should be, but it's the perfect group for him.
Yeah.
Because he has maybe one match that he has to like tough out, and the rest are all either narrative matches, character work, or people who have a style that works with someone who's trying to hide how broken down he is, while at the same time having a style that reinforces how broken down he pretends to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So the G1 Climax starts on the 20th of July. That's next Saturday. So we might get a preview in before then of the whole tournament. But we're going to hold our thunder in case Walker is fit and well to record with us this week. We hope he is okay, and he should be back in Japan by Friday night. So if he is, and he can fit it in, we will try. But if he can't, obviously the man needs to recover to do a decent job of the G1, which we are sure he will do. An outstanding job of the G1, in fact. In the meantime, We managed to get a 40-minute show out of 2 quotes, which is incredible, even by our standards.
I mean, if I try, I can talk about wrestling for at least 2 hours.
Yes, that's it. With no real input. Go.
All right. Just give me a couple of names and I'll keep going.
No, I can't. Well, I'm trying to think. Well, here's one thing we haven't discussed. We might not need this extra show. We should do it now. I promised it, though. We've got Wrestle Kingdom in Tokyo Dome, obviously 4th of January. That's Wrestle Kingdom 19, which I can't believe is 19. That's my 10th year of watching the Tokyo Dome live. That's terrifying. And then on the 5th of January, we have Wrestle Destiny, New Japan CMLL, AEW. Wrestle Dynasty, not Destiny. I was thinking of an old AJW show, which was Wrestle Destiny. Wrestle Dynasty. What's your thoughts on that? Because it kind of like puts paid to the traditional New Year's Dash, which I was always a fan of, because you get all the surprises and cool stuff.
Don't we get New Year's Dash after?
It's not been announced yet.
I thought Walker said that somewhere.
So we'd have New Year's Dash on the 6th.
I think one of the two talked about it, and I think they said there was going to be a New Year's Dash.
Yeah. I will have a look. He says, searching Twitter, New Year's Dash.
The whole Dynasty thing.
Yes.
I'd like it if it's like our version of Forbidden Door.
Right. Yeah.
Where AEW gets Forbidden Door, and that's their show, and that's why the focus was on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And we get our version of Forbidden Door, where the focus is on New Japan and New Japan stories.
Yeah.
That happens to have a couple of AEW wrestlers on it, and they can have their one match that's for their title. And our main event is the New Japan versus New Japan.
I tell you what I want. I want Swerve versus Gabe Kidd for the AEW World Championship.
Yeah, but Gabe won't win that.
No, I know he won't win it, but it'd be fun, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be fun?
I guess.
Prince Nana dancing all the way to the ring. That'd be amazing. Gabe just staring daggers as he walks down the ring for like 3 miles.
I want Mariah May versus Hiromu.
Oh, yeah. Even after this week?
Yes.
Even after she essentially stabbed somebody in the forehead with her own shoes.
Hiromu loves that stuff.
You want Hiromu stabbed in the head with... You can't just stab Hiromu in the head with his own shoes. They're really soft.
He accidentally stabbed himself in the head.
Oh, yeah. Fair, true. That's fair enough, yeah. I know. I think that's a good idea. I don't think we're getting into gender violence anytime soon.
No, we won't. It's just the advantage of AEW is that there's women on there. So I could.
Yes, but you're more likely to get Mariah May versus Mina Shah, aren't you? Back.
Yeah, but then it'll be like 4 minutes because the women's matches are always super short.
They depend. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the trouble. That's just in general. You will probably get Mercedes money back though, definitely, because she'll have titles to defend. So, yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be interesting. I think.
I don't want Ospreay back though. They can keep.
Oh God, no. To be
he's
honest,
definitely showing up, which sucks.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't necessarily want Okada back either. Not yet.
I wouldn't mind him like being someone's second.
Yeah.
So like bitch face everyone.
Yeah, I don't, in the sense of, because he's kind of a lock to come back eventually, but I don't want him back just yet. I want to feel like he's gone for a while. I
want Jay back though, even though I'm not sure he's allowed to according to the rules. But
yeah, Jay would be fine. I don't mind having Jay back because he's been gone for a long time and I miss him. But I miss Okada, but I want it to feel more like a comeback rather than just a short holiday. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, he'd come back as a heel as well, which would be intriguing, I suppose. It's not like the same guy's coming back. But would he be a heel in Tokyo Dome?
Yeah, and the issue is if he comes back and he wrestles on this show, AEW won't put Okada over one of the young guys.
No, exactly.
And that's kind of who he would have to wrestle.
No, it'd be a tag match, and it'd be him. It'd be him in the books versus Lij. So
Lij probably.
yeah, and Bush.
But then who do you put over?
But Bush should get pinned, wouldn't he? That's
yeah, and you don't want that on your show.
No,
you don't want to put Okada over, because then you're once again reinforcing this idea that Okada's better than all your guys you have now, and you kind of need to tell the opposite story.
Yeah, you need to not book him. And the books of the guys you do book from AEW, you need to lose. You can have one win, but you've got to make it kind of like, you've got to make it Bryan Danielson versus Lee Uemura. And Danielson wins, but Uemura looks amazing.
Yeah, you kind of can't have Okada and Ospreay come back and win.
Float in, take a win, and bugger off again. That's
because then you're telling the narrative that they're better.
Yeah, exactly.
And that the new guys that you've been trying to build aren't as good, which is what they're trying to get away from. Like, I hope that's Callum Newman's story this tournament, stepping away from Ospreay.
Yeah. Which eventually is a match we'll probably end up seeing, isn't it? I just realised that. Shit. Oh well.
We can suffer through not watching one match, or you can watch it.
It took me 3 days to wind myself up to watch the last one I had to watch, and it was like, it's all right, I guess. I like Swerve. I watch Swerve all day. Swerve's amazing. I wouldn't watch Ospreay more than once a year, really, anymore. I'm just done with William. But yeah, that's the thing. I was just say that I can't mention it. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk to you about that later. There are things we have to kayfabe from you too, because it's podcast kayfabery. Talk to you in a bit about that. Yeah. But yes, I guess we could probably call that it for today. But you need to pick a show.
45 minutes. Well done, us.
Fun. Yeah, we have literally done a show about nothing. We've Seinfeld our way a show through in 45 minutes. But we will pick a show from the archive for you to choose. Well, not put it in this show. I'll do it as a separate show because they both should be standalones. So your options are, we kick off the series with myself and Marcus going back over the history of the Universal Wrestling Federation and shoot-style wrestling in Japan. Or you, me, and Mr. Eddie Sideburns discuss a wrestling fan favorite. The choice is yours.
That's an unfair choice, because you're asking me, do I want the podcast that I'm in about a subject that I love, or do I want a podcast that I'm not in about a subject I don't necessarily care that much about? Like, it's an unfair question, I feel.
That's just so brutally honest as well. It's like, everyone else would have said, "Oh, I really love Marcus, and it's great that you and you two talk together about anything. It's awesome. But I really would like to listen to the show." No. Yeah, no, I'm not interested at all.
I'm sorry. It's the Dutch in me. I have to be honest.
Yeah, no, it just made me smile. I knew that answer was coming. I absolutely could tell in my brain she's going to go absolutely all in with complete honesty and tell me exactly how she feels.
And I mean, it's G1 season, so we should probably go with like the topical.
We should do, and that's okay.
One of the guys.
I mean, arguably the
about is in the G1.
it's true. Arguably, we have had requests about the UWF show, so.
Oh, if you want to, I'll change.
I'm just no. I'm just saying. I'm giving you all the information so you make a clear decision. As the people have watched late with us, because apparently me and Marcus have been evangelical enough to drag some people with us. Aaron Nakajima helped.
Well, then go with the other one, and then we can have New Japan on Monday, because we already have this show for New Japan.
Yes, is that okay with
Monday.
You? With that,
yeah.
I'm now giving you all of the information. You can make your choice.
Yeah, let's go with the Marcus one then.
Okay, so you've listened to this. You can go and listen to Marcus Green and myself discussing the history of Universal Wrestling Federation, which features also one Mr. Marty Jones, who trained Gabe Kidd. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening to the Troopany Show in our shorter format of 49 minutes. 49 minutes and 45 seconds for us. Yeah, whatever. Christy, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at Smark Infested on Twitter, X, whatever.
Elon's traveling show of mediocrity.
Yeah,
you can find
that one platform.
Yeah, that's it. She won't answer you on Instagram. She's not there. It's a ghost.
Occasionally, I go on Instagram and I see I have a notification, and it's always you through the Troopany Show
saying you were on the Troopany Show mentioned you in a post. I did,
and I never even like it. Sorry.
Our Instagram algorithms gone through the floor.
I just acknowledge it in my head and then move on. Sorry.
Oh dear. I've got something else to tell you. We'll do that one off air.
I'm a terrible
member. Well, I'm not sure. Well, all right. I'll do it now because it's on there and it could make you laugh uncontrollably. So
I'm already laughing. I'm crying. Even.
I was talking with Simon. With Simon, who's occasionally been on the Troopany Show, a wrestling fan, Brit Rest fan. Who made me laugh so hard with this I nearly had to pull the car over because we were about to crash whilst I was driving. We were talking about wrestling one thing and another, and specifically the subject of driller Dan Maloney came up.
Of course it did. Of course it did. And you tell me you don't like the guy.
I didn't say I didn't like the guy. I said Psycho Mike / Crazy Mike is really good. He's kind of taken some of my affections. Anyway. I remembered the best promo we ever did, which was in WWE, and it was like the first iteration of WWE NXT UK when they did the tournament in Blackpool. And the promo we got was this, like, he was supposed to be coming across as this gritty street fighter from Birmingham, because that's always going to be a winner. Anyway, he comes over and he looks at the camera, and his promo is, I've seen some things. That's it. That's the whole promo.
that feels like a Kane promo from the time he did that movie.
I've seen some things. What have you seen, Dan?
We should get him on the interview and ask him.
What are the things back in 2017? What were the things you saw? Maybe we could ask Walker to ask him for us. We'd find out. But there you go. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening to the Troopany Show. Go listen to me and Marcus talk about UWF. It's really interesting. We talk some cool old stuff, and there's a playlist to watch. So you get to watch free wrestling that's available on the internet for free. And it's part of a long summer series that we're doing to give you more input into the history of shoot-style wrestling, as it's become very important to the great universe. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening to us today. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.